Welcome to our Week 8 college football Saturday selections. Coming into Week 8, the last 4 weeks, we've been on a terrific run going 40-8, picking games straight up. We're going to try to extend that streak this week. Let's get right into it. We start with our upset pick of the week, like always. Kentucky goes into Mississippi State. The Bulldogs are a 13.5-point home favorite in Starkville. Kentucky, a couple blown assignments against Florida away from being undefeated, especially in that SEC East. Mississippi State has not looked great since running over LSU. I like Kentucky. Even if they don't win this game, I think 13.5 is a lot for Mississippi State. I have Kentucky covering in that one. Now, getting into our main picks for the week, we start with Louisville heading into Tallahassee to play Florida State. The Seminoles, a 6.5-point home favorite for a noon kick in the ACC. Louisville had issues last week against Boston College. They blew a big lead. Remember, Louisville a year ago routed the Noles from start to finish 63-20. Might revenge be on the mind of some of these Seminole defenders? Maybe. But Louisville had a lot of problems stopping Boston College in that second half comeback. Boston College ran the football extremely well. I believe they had over 350 yards in that game. Cut it. Cut it. They had 350. You don't need to think. Yeah, cut it and run. Okay. Now we'll move on to our main picks of the week. We start Louisville heads to Tallahassee. The Cardinals visit Florida State. The Seminoles, a 6.5-point home favorite for a noon ACC kickoff. Remember a year ago, Louisville routed the Seminoles down in Papa John's Stadium 63-20. Revenge on the minds of some of these Seminole defenders from a humiliating loss a year ago. Louisville last week blew a lead against Boston College. Lamar Jackson played well as always. He accounted for over 500 yards. But Boston College ran the football extremely well. I believe they had something around 350 rushing yards. Louisville's defense isn't playing like that means anything. That's an issue. Florida State comes in. Cam Akers, Jaquez Patrick, over the last 2 games have combined for over 200 yards. That's going to be something I believe Jimbo Fisher, from the start of this game, is going to try to establish the run. I don't believe Louisville's right now playing with enough fire defensively to stop it. I have Florida State winning this one at home by 10. Moving on to our next one. Syracuse visits Miami. The Hurricanes, a 17-point home favorite. This is a 3:30 Eastern kick over on ABC between 2 ACC teams. These two haven't met since 2003 when they were both back in the Big East, but the Hurricanes have won the last 5 matchups. Those were quite a long time ago. Both teams come in riding emotional highs after thrilling wins. Syracuse stunning the defending national champions last Friday night. Miami, a second straight final minute win, this time over Georgia Tech. Both teams riding the highs of that one. Both teams are also riding the highs of quarterbacks playing extremely well. Malik Rozier is getting the job done for Miami, and for Syracuse, Eric Dungey continues to play well. The key in this game, I think, is going to be Miami's secondary. Can they be disciplined for 60 minutes? Syracuse is a team that likes to throw the ball around, and they've done it this season with a lot of success. They did it against Clemson. If Miami cannot be disciplined defensively, they will have issues in this football game. I'm going with Miami in this one, but I think Syracuse makes enough plays. Hurricanes by a field goal in Miami Gardens. Moving on now. Colorado in Pullman, Pac-12 after dark. The Buffaloes head to Pullman as a 10-point road underdog. A week ago, misery for the Cougars. They got stunned in Cal. The Washington State offense had 7 turnovers in that game. That created a scenario where Cal, on their 6 scoring drives, 5 of them began in Washington State territory. Mike Leach can blast his defense all he wants. That is not a recipe for success. Meanwhile, Colorado struggled putting away Oregon State. Mind you, an Oregon State team that had just changed head coaches in the middle of a week. So that's a red flag for the Buffaloes. Washington State, I do not feel like they will have another 7 turnover performance. I think they come back to the mean. If they turn the ball over, maybe 2 times, 3 at most in this one. But even then, I like Washington State in this one comfortably. Cougars do a much better job taking care of the football. That in turn helps out their defense. Washington State at home in some Pac-12 after dark. Cougars by 17. Our next one up, Iowa visits Evanston in a Big Ten West clash. The Hawkeyes go on the road as a 1-point favorite. Interesting styles matching up here. Northwestern all season long. The story about them, inconsistency. And at times they look like a team that can be competitive with the upper echelon of this Big Ten, but at other times a team that's getting trampled by schools like Duke. Duke, not a bad program, but Northwestern shouldn't be getting run off the field against them. For the Wildcats, maybe one of the reasons of the inconsistencies, quarterback Clay Thorson has struggled mightily this season with turnovers. Not something you want to be talked about going into a matchup against an opportunistic and talented Iowa defense that had forced 4 turnovers against Illinois their last time out. That's not a recipe for success. Iowa, they take the football away, and Clay Thorson, over the last 2 games especially, has struggled holding on to the football. On the other side, it's the exact opposite for Iowa's offense heading up against the Northwestern defense. Quarterback Nathan Stanley has an excellent 15-2 touchdown to interception ratio on the season, takes care of the ball, makes the right decisions, and he's going to be going up against the Northwestern defense that ranks 101st nationally against the pass. Too much there for me to overcome Northwestern. If they play one of their good games, can certainly be competitive, even win this one. Not something I'm willing to make my pick on, though. Not making picks off of chance. Iowa, they are the better football team. They've shown it this season. I'm rolling with the Hawkeyes in this one by 11. Our next one up, Oklahoma heads to Kansas State. The Sooners go into Manhattan, a 14-point road favorite for this Big 12 clash. The Sooners held on to beat Texas a week ago, but the passing defense continued to struggle for the Sooners. Will that be an issue here? I'm leaning towards no, because for Kansas State, Alex Dalton, the backup quarterback, will likely draw the start again. And a week ago against TCU, he struggled passing the football, and this Kansas State offense only had 6 points in that game. Don't love the Wildcats coming in this one. I like Baker Mayfield and the Sooners offense to just score more than Kansas State can keep up with. Sooners by 17 in Manhattan, Kansas. The next one up, West Virginia at Baylor. The Mountaineers a 9.5-point favorite in Waco. I get what you're saying. Why are we picking a Baylor game? Baylor winless on the season. The reason I'm throwing this game in is because I feel very, very good about West Virginia in this one. Mountaineers are only a 9.5-point favorite, but keep in mind this. West Virginia has a high-octane offense. Will Grier, Justin Crawford, David Sills and company. And Baylor has struggled defensively this year, especially at stopping the pass. But as a whole, this defense has just not looked good for Baylor. Big problem. Also, Baylor, only in one Big 12 game that they scored more than 20. That was against the porous Oklahoma defense, in which they scored 41. Outside of that, have not scored more than 20. I think West Virginia goes on the road here, gets up, and cruises the rest of the way home. West Virginia in this one by 23. That's why I'm throwing it in. West Virginia big in Waco. Third Big 12 game here. Oklahoma State heads to Austin. The Cowboys, a 7.5-point road favorite for this Big 12 showdown. A week ago, Texas, a valiant effort against Oklahoma. Quarterback Sam Ehlinger continues to provide the Texas offense with a spark, but he missed 5 key plays in that fourth quarter against Oklahoma, which kind of slowed down Texas' momentum and pretty much ended any chance they had of pulling the upset. But Sam Ehlinger giving them this spark, I think, carries some weight for Texas. However, Texas continues to struggle with their passing defense, which is a humongous problem considering Mason Rudolph, James Washington, Marcel Aitman and company are coming into Austin this weekend. I'm going to Oklahoma State, but only by 4, mainly because I really like what Sam Ehlinger has provided this Texas offense with. I think Texas can keep it close, just still not quite there yet for Tom Herman and company. Next one up, Tennessee in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Crimson Tide, a 34.5-point home favorite. This one keeps moving up. This is a 3:30 Eastern kick on CBS from Bryant Denny. Big things to look at here. Tennessee has not scored an offensive touchdown in 10 quarters. Why do we believe this trend is going to change against the fierce Alabama defense as always? Also, Tennessee, they're the second best passing defense in the country, but they're among the worst defenses at stopping the run. I believe they're ranked in the 120s. That is not a recipe for success. When you're going to be playing Alabama, they're going to run the football, they're going to play great defense. A 34.5-point spread against a team with Tennessee's talent level is a little bit scary. My thought process in this is if Tennessee can score a touchdown to go along, I believe they'll get a field goal at some point in this game. If they get a touchdown, snap that 10-quarter streak, I think that'd probably be enough to cover. I don't think, though, that they'll break that touchdown streak. I have Tennessee scoring 6, Bama 45, Alabama rolls it home by 39. Next one up, Auburn heads to Fayetteville. The Tigers of Auburn, a 14.5-point road favorite. This is a night game in Fayetteville. Arkansas continues to be an enigma. Auburn beat them handedly a year ago. I believe it was a 40 or 50-point Auburn win. Revenge may be on the minds of Arkansas, but revenge can only get you so far. Arkansas playing likely with Cole Kelly, the backup quarterback again, means they'll be without quarterback Austin Allen probably this week as well. And that Arkansas defense got battered by Alabama a week ago. They tried holding their own, but it's a physical game when you play Alabama. And Auburn's MO, you're going to know Gus Malzahn, after that baffling play calling that was seen in that second half against LSU, against a team that they're just a better team than Arkansas, Auburn's going to come out, pound the football, going to be a physical second game in a row for Arkansas. I'm going Auburn by 17.5. And keep this in mind, Auburn is not out of the SEC West race. Assuming Bama beats LSU, if Auburn were to run the table, that game against Alabama, the Iron Bowl to end the season, would still have major SEC West implications. Tigers need to get together, figure out that offense, which we've been saying for some time, but they have the pieces to do it, which is why it's so irritating to pick Auburn and watch them fall apart. But the Tigers, if they can figure it out, are still very much in this SEC West race. Next one up, the team that beat Auburn a week ago, LSU heads to Vaught Hemingway. The Tigers getting a 6.5-point favorite against the Rebels of Ole Miss. Ed Orgeron, key storyline in this one. Ed Orgeron getting a chance against his former employer. Also, LSU won this game a year ago, but the Tigers have not won in Oxford since 2011. Does that play a factor here? Remember, you saw Auburn a week ago, who hadn't won in 20-some-odd years in Baton Rouge. LSU hasn't won since 2011, albeit much more recent, but still. Tigers come in. The defense played much better in that second half against Auburn, but this is a good Ole Miss offense. Shea Patterson, A.J. Brown and company can score points against you if you don't stay disciplined for 4 quarters. Ole Miss is going to have a chance. I have LSU winning this one by 2. I think Ole Miss gets some points. LSU, I think, wins the game still. And also, don't underestimate Danny Etling. Quietly, he's actually become one of the best statistical quarterbacks in the SEC. That combined with Darius Geis exploits an Ole Miss defense that isn't great, isn't even really that good. I think LSU can score enough to win this game. Not a high-scoring one, but LSU 30, Ole Miss 28. And our next one up, Michigan at Penn State. The Nittany Lions, a 9.5-point home favorite from Happy Valley, will go. A primetime Big Ten showdown on ABC. Penn State expecting a whiteout crowd here. Michigan rolled the Nittany Lions a season ago. And the Wolverines, though, the story for them, well known at this point. A powering defense, but an offense, especially a passing attack, that has struggled mightily all season long. If the Michigan Wolverines are going to achieve the goals they had when this season kicked off, they are going to have to fix this passing game and figure out I think the passing game will open up the rest of the offense. They're going to have to figure it out. On the other side, Penn State haven't beaten a ranked team yet, but statistically come in rolling, coming off a bye. Trace McSorley, Saquon Barkley, and a high-powered Penn State offense that are averaging over 39 a game so far this season. Factor in a rested Penn State defense playing at home, under the lights, with a whiteout. This defense keeping opponents under 10 points a game. One of the best scoring defenses in all of the land. Penn State, and this was my pick. I'm going Penn State by 8. Under the lights in a whiteout from Happy Valley. Now, the game of the week. USC heads to South Bend. The Trojans, a 3.5-point road favorite. Typically, home teams given 3 points for the home field. Essentially a pick 'em, but the Irish a 3.5-point favorite. Vegas views these teams as equals. For the Trojans in this one, it's going to be imperative for them to execute well offensively from the start. USC won a year ago, 45-27 in Los Angeles, a game in which the USC offense played well. Also, USC has not won in South Bend since 2011. Can that be a factor for this USC team? None of these current players have ever won a game in Notre Dame Stadium. Meanwhile, for the Trojans offense, Darnold looked much improved in that second half comeback against Utah. Can they carry it over? I mentioned earlier, can they do it from the beginning of this game? I think Notre Dame's going to score enough in this game for the point where USC has to come to play from the opening kickoff. Maybe they found their rhythm, maybe not, but they better hope they have if they're going to keep their playoff dreams alive. Speaking of playoff dreams, both teams feel a win in this one will keep them squarely in the playoff chase. Trojans have the one loss. They run the table. They'd be Pac-12 champions. The Irish run the table. USC this week, NC State, Miami, Stanford, all loom on their upcoming schedule. USC offense, can it figure it out? Defense continues to be a big mystery. Haven't played really well this season. Can they figure it out? They better figure out something this week because Notre Dame's offense is extremely good at running the football. Had 350 yards rushing last time out. This Notre Dame team, it might have been 350, it might have been a little bit less, but this is the power of Notre Dame. Notre Dame averages over 300 rushing yards a game. That was the statistic I was looking for. 300 rushing yards a game for Notre Dame and a thin USC front. Josh Fatu, a concussion for USC on that line. Will he be able to go? If not, even an even more banged up Trojan front. Can they hold Notre Dame's rushing attack and a powerful rushing attack at that? I mentioned something earlier I'm going to go back to now before I make my selection. USC has not won in South Bend since 2011. But USC has not gone into South Bend coached by a full-time head coach since 2011. All that said, here's the pick, the breakdown, all you need to know, what you've been waiting for. USC Notre Dame, I expect it to be a great game, tied late, a thriller in South Bend. Sam Darnold takes the field late, leads the Trojans to Southern Cal in a game-winning drive. That's right, USC over Notre Dame from South Bend.